Hello and welcome to Loyalty TV and Let's Talk Loyalty. Today we're sharing the story behind Loyalty Connect, which is being positioned as the flagship conference for our industry for 2024. It's taking place in just a few months' time, on April 23rd and 24th here in Dubai, with an expected attendance of over 3,000 people. The conference also includes the International Loyalty Awards, which is taking place outside of the UK for the first time in its 13-year history. No matter what area of loyalty marketing you work in, on the brand side or the partner side, Loyalty Connect is an event not to be missed. Joining me today is the co-founder and co-CEO of Loyalty Connect, Marian Kelly, who created this conference together with Eileen McGuinness. I hope you enjoy our conversation. So, Marian Kelly, welcome to Loyalty TV and Let's Talk Loyalty.
Thank you so much for having me, Paula. I have to say I'm delighted to be with you today. It's my first time. So yeah, I'm really excited to have this conversation.
Indeed, we have an awful lot to talk about, Marian. We have worked together for so many years, and I'm a huge fan of what you do. So nothing
Thank you,
could give me
Paula.
more pleasure than what we're talking about today. So listen to me. I know you're here representing what is going to be the single biggest event in the loyalty industry in 2024, Loyalty Connect. So we've got a huge amount to talk about today on behalf of yourself and your co-founder of the event. So Eileen couldn't be with us today, but we'll be making sure to include her in all of our discussions. But before we get into talking about the actual event, Marian, as you know, we love to start this show getting a sense from industry experts and specialists about their favourite loyalty programmes. And given that you are living in my home country, of course, back in Ireland, why don't you give our global audience a sense of your favourite loyalty programme, please?
Yes, I have to say, Paula, I gave this some thought last night in preparation for coming on the show. And I have to say, after a lot of thought, I decided my favorite loyalty program is one which you are very familiar with, actually, and it's the Super Value Real Rewards program. Like many people, I'm sure, my biggest spend every week is food. So for me, my loyalty partner in terms of food retail is really important. I love Super Value Real Rewards there's loads of reasons to love it, actually. It's been in the Irish market for the last 15 years. They have constantly evolved. They dedicate a team to working on their loyalty offering, which I think is fantastic and a great example for other companies. But I love their app. I love the simplicity and transparency in earning and redeeming rewards. I love that vouchers come directly to my phone that are relevant to my tastes. So I don't receive offers for items that are generally not on my shopping list. So I love that. But I suppose most of all, I love that they continue to evolve. In December, they launched a lovely Scan to Win program. The value proposition was €70,000, which is quite a strong offering in the
Wow.
Irish market. Yeah.
Yeah.
So people won cars, people won, €1,000, people won shops. It was really, really exciting. And that's what I love about them. I think, it's really important that you can adapt and pivot quickly. So,
Yeah.
for example, cost of living crisis, we're all aware of that, and
Mm.
the huge challenges the consumer has had around energy. And I have to say, I thought Super Value were fantastic. They partnered with a energy supplier here in the Irish market and very quickly were able to offer consumers real value in converting their real rewards points into paying for their energy bills. And those type of steps are the steps that keep your consumer loyal to your brand. So yeah, I am a huge fan. I have no surprise at all that in Europe, Ireland scored very high. I am going to get that point in, Paula.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am very happy that they did well, and I think that's of huge credit to all the companies in Ireland who are really working hard to deliver a strong, valued proposition.
Indeed. Well said, Marian. I always feel actually, as a very small country, we punch above our weight in a lot of areas. And definitely, I think when it comes to grocery retail, we are some of the best in the world. And I don't think that is appreciated. Super Value is definitely a brand we would love to have on Loyalty TV. So a shout out to them if anybody's listening, to make sure there's an open invitation. And I guess for people around the world, Marian, just I suppose from my perspective, you're absolutely right. Super Value have nailed so many key parts of the proposition. And it's essentially the closest thing Ireland has to a coalition. So we don't really have a coalition like Nectar, for example, or, some of the big ones in Europe. So Super Value is kind of filling that void and doing it super well. So thank you for showcasing that. And as I said, please God, we'll get them on the show in the future.
Absolutely.
So let's get into the big topic for today, Marian. We are here to talk about an extraordinary conference taking place in the city I now live in Dubai, of course, in April. So coming up very quickly in a couple of months. But before we get into talking about the conference, Marian, yourself and Eileen co-founded this big idea. So can you just give me a bit of background on the kind of work you've been doing over the last couple of years? Because I think everybody knows your work, but they mightn't know you by name. So tell us a bit about the company and what you do.
Okay, so I suppose I spent most of my career in the UK, which was not in the actual loyalty space at all. But I suppose a turning point in my career was when I returned actually back to Ireland. And Paula, you will know, and if Eileen had been able to join us today, she would certainly know that my first experience in the loyalty space was really bringing the Avios currency
Yes.
to the Irish market because IAG had purchased Aer Lingus. So I have to say it was a fantastic program to cut my teeth on because it's such a big program and so many people are aware of it, and it also had a very powerful proposition in the Irish market. So when you were talking to potential partners, it was actually quite easy because they were always very interested. So that was my first experience in the loyalty space, but and my first experience of working with Eileen on loyalty. I think we both looked at the market in Ireland and felt this is so strange because actually lots of companies in Ireland are doing great things around loyalty and indeed customer experience, but nobody's actually recognizing it. And from a consumer perspective, how do you know which are the best loyalty programs?
Yeah.
So we spotted an opportunity in the market and we founded the Irish Loyalty Awards together.
Yeah.
I have to say, whilst the loyalty community in Ireland is a small one, it's a very vibrant one. And we've
Yeah.
run a very successful program for the last 5 years. And
Yeah.
it really has been a fantastic experience. Then about 2 years ago, probably 3 years ago now, we were invited to work on the International Loyalty Awards program. Again, a fantastic experience, a fantastic insight into the global picture of loyalty programs. And, that has been a really huge learning curve from a global perspective, because when people enter the awards, we've got access to the nuts and bolts of the good, the bad, and the ugly in terms of loyalty across the world. So that's been just an amazing experience, and we've thoroughly enjoyed that. We also have partnered with the Loyalty Academy in Europe, in delivering CLMP. And I suppose my reason for sharing all of that is probably to give your listeners an understanding that we have a very broad experience of the global loyalty network. And I think when you're talking to potential sponsors and potential partners and potential brands for entering into the awards, I suppose one message has been getting louder and louder. And that message has been really that there is a little frustration. We have a very, I suppose, we have a great loyalty platform across the world, but it is a little fragmented in the sense that from an event perspective, there are a lot of small events going on, and there's absolutely space for small events and for niche events. So, Loyalty Connect is not about, removing that very valuable resource for the global loyalty community. But it became clear that from an investment perspective, sponsors are keen to probably find a platform that's more of a flagship for the industry. And I think customer loyalty hasn't always been top of the agenda. It's been a slowly evolving industry for the last probably 15 years. So the time is now right for a flagship industry event, which it may not have been ready for previously. So I think that was our first starting point, was thinking what we really didn't want was sponsors and partners and people who are really invested in this community being a little bit disillusioned by not being able to get their message out to the brand, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So I think we were hearing that message for quite some time, and we were thinking, all right, something we need to do something about this. We've researched this really for the last 2 years. We then spoke with many brands, and the message that was coming from brands is very often they don't really know what's working out there. Um, they don't have a global picture of loyalty. They don't always know what the thought leadership is. And the reality is, for a lot of C suite personnel, they are so busy with the day to day business, they don't have the time to sit down on Google and find out what the latest thinking and thought leadership is around loyalty. So they were very supportive of a flagship event for the loyalty community, and hence Loyalty Connect was born.
Amazing,
The concept
amazing.
was born.
Totally, totally. And I know you've been thinking about this in great depth, Marian, both yourself and Eileen, certainly, as you said, for 2 years.
Mhm.
I think I passed a joke last year, in fact, when we were together in London, that maybe you should do something in Dubai. So I was absolutely blown away. I'm not taking the credit, but I know that there's very good reasons that you're coming to where I now live. My own, I suppose, reason for living here is usually the first question people ask me, Marian, is why Dubai? Why are you not back in Dublin where you're from? And for me, this city is full of ambition, Marian. So, genuinely for Loyalty Connect, as you said, it is a hugely ambitious project. It is what the industry's been asking for. So give us a sense of the scale of your ambition, of what you're hoping to unfold when we get together at the end of April.
So I think, just talking about Dubai for a second, I do think Dubai is the perfect location because naturally it's the gateway between East and West. It is a fabulous city. And, when we talked to our brands, so these are not my words, these are the brand's words, which I love. It was like, everybody wants to be in Dubai. So we were like,
Totally.
okay.
Yeah, why not?
Okay,
And
okay.
Paul is there. So, of course, I mean, it just makes sense.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
whilst this event is based in Dubai, we want to be very clear it is actually a global event. Of course, we are very much hoping that the MENA region will get behind this event, but it is a global event. And, we wanted to pick a city that was going to be accessible fairly for all leading global experts across the world. So the location was very key in our decision. Um, I think from a thought leadership perspective, one of the absolute key items that we're working on for this event is a compelling, high profile, diverse agenda. So it's a 2 day conference. It's a 2 day conference. Being really transparent about our strategy, we are very much trying to, and succeeding. We will be announcing the agenda shortly, but we are targeting C suite presenters, very much brand side, who will talk about their loyalty programs, the good, the bad, and the ugly, hopefully. And I suppose share the experiences of what works and what doesn't work at a very senior level, but also people who may not have been heard in the space before. So I think that's really, really important for us, that we, bring new material, new content. So we're curating that, and a huge amount. Our head of content has been inundated with requests to speak and share content. So, and I mean inundated. And we have to give due diligence to all those offers. So it is taking a little time to get the agenda out there, but it will
Yeah.
be worth the wait. So I will say
Yeah.
watch this space in the next week or
In
so.
Indeed, absolutely. And we're recording at the end of January, but of course, releasing this. So, anybody listening, it'll be, early to mid February. So, I'm guessing the agenda will be available on the Loyalty Connect website. So, certainly from our perspective, Marian, as partners of yours, we'll make sure to link to that in the show notes. So, anybody who is listening, it'll be in your inboxes, in your emails, and all up to date, as Marian says, in terms of getting that incredible agenda together. So, I mean, honestly, from my perspective, Marian, I share the understanding of the pain point, not only back from my own days of running programs there in Ireland and wanting access to C-suite insights, but this whole idea that there is, almost like an industry that feels often, I think, quite lonely. And I know that's a strong word, but somebody nailed it for me in an interview actually on this show, because as loyalty professionals, we're very often the person driving the program through every single department in the business. So we're convincing the C-suite, we're convincing the ops, the customer service, the comms people. So it's a huge responsibility. And if you don't have the C-suite on your side, life can be tough. And particularly when it comes to the very commercial realities, which I know is something that the speakers that you're lining up, I've had a little preview. I know we can't disclose them, but I know the kind of speakers that you have will be bringing those C-suite insights, because ultimately they are the decision maker, Marian. We've been talking
Absolutely.
about a lot about it ourselves. So very exciting. So am I right in saying, as well as having C-suite speakers, you're also hoping that obviously every loyalty professional listening to this, but also C-suite professionals within their companies are welcome, and of course,
Yes.
more than welcome to come and attend and hear their peers and their colleagues talk about what they're doing.
Indeed. I mean, the target audience for this is absolutely 100% C suite. And it does
Cool.
go back
Yeah.
to the reason for that, very much goes back to what you've just said, that, successful loyalty programs have the support from the top down. So it's really, really critical that the C suite understand the commercial proposition for their business. Um, and that's the education piece that we are trying to deliver through, or aiming to deliver through the agenda. It's ambitious. We are targeting a 3,000 footfall. And I think that's really important. But as part of our attracting that C suite, I think it's really important to note this, that we have a Brands Go Free campaign. And the idea behind this is that we don't want any obstacles in place for a brand to attend. So, up until the 29th of February, we have a Brands Go Free. You can go on the website, you can register now, and you will secure your place at the event free. Um, so, yeah, C suite target audience, 3,000 people, flagship event for the industry.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, we got all the key bullet points there. So, I mean, certainly very exciting, Marian, from my perspective. Most of the events that both of us go to, certainly in the European market, typically are 200 to 300 people. So, for you guys to be conceiving and delivering something that is going to be basically 10 times bigger is just phenomenal. So congrats on getting this far. I know
Thank
it's been a
you.
long time coming. As I said, I agree with the need and the appetite. And I suppose it would be remiss if I didn't comment that I'm going to be involved in ways that are not yet confirmed, but certainly I will be around and available, and keen to meet with anybody who is going to be in Dubai for that particular
Mm,
week,
mm,
because I think most people have business to do in Dubai, as well as the conference. And we're going to talk, of course, about the International Loyalty Awards as
mm,
well as
mm,
the final part of the agenda. But even before that, Marian, the final piece on the conference I just wanted to pick up on is the title you've given it. And I know, of course, that's very intentional as well. But this idea of connecting, I think, is something that you hold very dear. And again, I think people being people, we do love to connect with each other and sit down and have, as I often say, coffee or cocktails, whichever is appropriate to
Yeah.
your taste. So I'm guessing we're going to have a lot of coffee and cocktails when you get here.
Absolutely. Look, I think, connect is the word that's probably most important in the loyalty space. Whether you're connecting with your consumers, peers, it's a really, really important word. So it is about connection. And I suppose for us, it's very much as well about business, doing business for our partners and sponsors who are there. They want to meet people to do business. So, it is very much a platform for doing business, but it's also a huge platform for collaboration. And I think that's really important. As as an organization, we really feel, and our mantra is very much about collaboration with other global partners. So we have a huge ecosystem of global media partners, which of which you are one, Paula. But I
Yes.
think I can name a few: the Wise Marketeer, the European Loyalty Association, the
Yeah.
Global Loyalty Organization, and there's loads more that I can't remember off the top of my head. But we are building a network. The Australian Loyalty Association, dear me, I would be slapped on the wrists if I had forgotten them. And
Can't forget the
rightly so.
ALA. Yeah,
So
great.
we're working hugely hard to build that global network of collaboration to really drive a presence at this event.
Yeah.
And, we've had great support and we're hugely grateful for that support. And in turn, we will support when we're called upon too. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, yes. I know the integrity is absolutely unquestioned, Marian. So yes, I know you're running this event in the greater interests of all concerned. So it is very
Absolutely.
much like, and we know that's going to guarantee then, of course, the future success as well. So there's there's a lot riding on this. I know for you as a small business, because I'm like yourselves, ambitious and keen to do things that are meaningful and really matter to the industry. So as I
Absolutely.
said, I'm hugely excited that you've chosen Dubai, that you're coming here.
No,
It's a packed 2 day agenda, and can't wait to see all of the speakers that you end up choosing to share their C-suite insights.
I have to say
So
we're really excited too. So
yes,
it's
good.
going to be very exciting. I suppose the last thing, Paula, we do need to talk about is the wonderful International Loyalty Awards and
Yes,
the decision
exactly.
that was announced very early in the new year. And we're absolutely thrilled to have partnered with the International Loyalty Awards. For many of your listeners, I hope I hope everybody is familiar with the International Loyalty Awards, which has been running now for 13 years
Yeah.
in London. So it is a huge step forward to announce that it's coming under the umbrella of Loyalty Connect and will take place on the 24th of April in Dubai.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, that audience that normally comes to London, we are very
Mm,
much hoping will get behind the event
yeah.
in
Yeah.
Dubai. So we are, as a starting point, bringing that footfall to Loyalty Connect, and everybody who has entered into the um, International Loyalty Awards will receive a free ticket into Loyalty Connect, a 2 day pass. So, again, we're very much trying to push that collaboration, connection,
Yeah.
networking opportunity. It's
Yes.
a flagship event for the industry, and it really is
Yeah.
the one in 2024 not to miss.
Indeed, absolutely. And as you said, it's culminating in recognition. So, certainly because you guys have done such a wonderful job, I've been traveling to London the past couple of years. So I was thrilled when I figured out and you guys shared the news that you were bringing the awards as well, as you said, under the umbrella of Loyalty Connect. So, and I can also say for anyone who hasn't been to Dubai, the location you've chosen for the awards is spectacular. So from an Instagram perspective, I know we're all here to do business, but at the end of the day, of course, we also want to have a good time. So
Indeed.
I'm looking forward to spending a very glamorous evening and hearing who this year's worthy recipients are, because it's always exceptional to see who wins an international loyalty award. So great excitement all
That,
around, Marion.
that recognition piece is huge. I mean, it sets the
Yeah,
benchmark standard for the industry.
yeah,
New this year is we are recognizing loyalty global leaders,
Okay.
which is probably new to the International Loyalty Awards, but it's a really important part of the process because there are people in the industry who are doing so much for loyalty who aren't always recognized. So
Yeah.
we very much want to put up the flag and recognize those people who are working tirelessly within the industry
Mm.
and who are leading the way in terms of innovation,
Yeah.
which is really important because we all know it's an interesting time for the world. It's an interesting time for loyalty. AI
Yeah.
is playing such a big part. You know, personally, I have to be honest and say I love AI, but I'm scared of it. It's hard
Yeah.
to understand. You know, I very quickly, my daughter is very funny. She doesn't like going shopping anymore because she does everything online. And I was like, but you can't try on clothes online. She was going, yeah, I can through
Oh
AI.
my
And
goodness.
I'm like going, really? Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So, you know, the world is
Yeah.
changing and loyalty is going to have to change. And we all need a
Yeah.
platform where we can talk about what those
Yeah.
changes are and how we're all going to handle them.
Totally, absolutely. And it's a key, I suppose, intention of this show as well, Marian, as you know, is to share both, best practice, we call it education and innovation.
Mm-hmm.
So again, very much shared values in terms of what we do on Loyalty TV and what you're doing with Loyalty Connect. So certainly from our perspective, we're thrilled to be a media partner, as you said, along with all those incredible organizations and our friends around the world. So great that we're all
Absolutely.
going to be getting together. So listen, Marian, I don't have any further questions today. What kind of parting words of wisdom do you want to leave from yourself and from Eileen?
Of course, I'm disappointed that Eileen wasn't here today to be able to contribute, as I know that she would have probably added a huge amount of value for your listeners. But I guess what we'd probably both say is it's a flagship event for your industry. For a flagship event to be successful, we need your
Yeah.
support. So we would ask you to get behind the event. We would ask brands to consider the event. It really is going to be a fantastic platform for connecting, for networking, for thought leadership, and really is the event not to miss in 2024. You can reach out personally to either myself or Eileen if you have any queries. We would love to talk to you. So we very much hope to welcome you to Loyalty Connect in April. And we are really, really looking forward to meeting and seeing everybody in Dubai and having a very vibrant global community of loyalty professionals under one roof.
Amazing. Well said. So, listen, with all of that, thank you for joining us today. As you've said, we missed having Eileen McGuinness. So, a quick shout out to Eileen for all that you do for the loyalty industry, for your work in working together, I suppose, to create this amazing content. So, we'll definitely look forward to spending some time together in April. So, Marian Kelly, co founder and co CEO of Loyalty Connect, thank you so much from Let's Talk Loyalty and Loyalty TV.
Thank you, Paula.